Hi guys, long time no see. Well, I just wanted to talk to you about a few things that happened lately. I think it's in everyone's mind right now. Just a few days ago, Chester Bennington has passed away, and as everyone, I'm also very shocked that it happened. It was one of those things that you absolutely never saw coming because he looked very healthy and balanced just like a few days before the before his suicide. So that got me thinking about everything, thinking about how people are talking about things only when such a bad drama happens, and suddenly Linkin Park's album is on the top of the charts, and that makes me really a little bit sad that people care when only such drama happens, when obviously there was this person screaming for help like Chester and nobody could help him. So that makes me feel really sorry for what happened. I was always, I could say, a fan of Linkin Park. I was never the biggest fan. They were on the perhaps top 20 list of the bands. They were this huge giant band that everybody in the world knew, and it's safe to say that Linkin Park would become huge legends even if Chester wouldn't do what he did, you know. I was always assured that Linkin Park were such a gigantic band. They were this planetary band that carried a very positive message through their songs, much like the bands although Coldplay are a different style, the gigantic scope of that band is very similar to Linkin Park. This whole situation really shows how there's so much silence in the world, We are so stuck in this sort of roles that we play that we never truly talk what's inside, And Chester was a proof of that. You could say he was this gigantic rock star, and everybody would think oh, he's got it all. He's got his perfect wife, 6 children, great band that everyone will remember, and yet still he commits suicide. So that really got you thinking the achievements that we put such value on really have no true meaning unless you feel something inside your heart, So that's something I guess everyone will remember from now on, that Chester committed suicide. And I could say that's really an important message. And also, I would so love to see people. I said it in a video before. I would so love to see people to come together and just party, but in the best sense of what a party could be. Just be completely honest with ourselves, to just play music and just I don't know how can I explain it but I think we're really capable of this human to human connection. We just have to learn how to do it, how to be ourselves, and how to express this greatness that we are, because we have so much inside ourselves, and we rarely get the opportunity to really express what we're about, because this society just puts these pressures on us that we have to be this thing or this thing. We have to be super famous rock stars, or we have to be really hardworking, or we have to have a lot of money until we achieve something, then someone will finally listen to us. These are the lies that this society spreads, and it's so dangerous. You have a value just because you are here, and just because you are totally unique. Nobody is like you, So that is the first thing I think that has to come before all things, We have to remind ourselves to be, as cheesy as it sounds, we have to remind ourselves to be really nice to each other. It's just so simple, Before all the things you say to other person about their achievements or their career, just be nice to them, It always can be done. So that is the main thing I wanted to talk about. Because I really felt that something is changing in our society. I've always in these years I've always felt so much is changing in our psyche, in our humanity, in our politics, in our thinking about the universe and the world. So I really think we are now on this like upward cycle, you know. I see it as like in the 1960s, I feel like people were experiencing this huge blast of, you could say, love and light and just positivity. And then in the 90s, there came this huge wave of like sarcasm and like a negativity, because it was like it was like the opposite wave of what the 60s represented, because the people of the 60s obviously had no responsibility yet. They didn't know how to handle such expansive experiences, so they took drugs, you know. It was very irresponsible. And then came their kids in the 90s, and those kids were like the exact opposite. They were so sarcastic of the hippies, they actually hated them. There was all this punk rock movement, there was all this like totally different energies and totally different music. It was more loud, it was more expressive and things like that. And that is, I think, where like Linkin Park were. They were just after this sort of, I don't want to say negative wave, but just after this angry wave, where people were like angry and screaming about the real problems that those people of 60s were not like properly talking about, you know. And now I feel that we are after this negative explosion, and we are going back almost where like the 60s were, but we have all this knowledge of what happened in the 90s. We have all this knowledge of this, like, of all our negativities, of all our stuff that's going on inside our minds when we feel negative. So in a certain sense, I would say that we are in the best times right now, because we have this approaching positivity, and we have all the knowledge of negativity that we could have from the 90s, from the expression that people like Chester or people in those punk rock or alternative bands or projects had, you know. They really sang from their heart, and that's something I personally very appreciate. It was just amazing. Linkin Park were like the band, you know. I was in the elementary school, and my oldest brother was listening to Linkin Park's, of course, Hybrid Theory and Meteora, and it was just, you know, those things are those things are just life-changing for so many people, you know. It's just like, for me, the way that Green Day released their American Idiot record, the way that it was life-changing for me, in the same way Meteora and Hybrid Theory was so revolutionary for so many people. And you could see it now. People finally speak on the internet how much it really meant to them, you know. Finally they don't hate on Chester's clothes for looking like Justin Bieber or some fucking stupid shit. They're finally talking about what is really important. Another thing I want to say is just, when you look at the interviews of Chester and what he was talking about, it's really sad to see that he was like really trying to change the direction of the band in a more honest and positive way. And you can see just how intelligent and just how like bright he was, along with Mike and other band members. And it's really sad to see that people are so stuck in these expectations of bands that they cannot really see what the band itself really wants to do. I'm not saying that you have to like every single thing that the band releases, but you don't have to like every single thing that the band releases, but at least you can always respect their artistic choices, and you can say, oh, I don't really like this album, but that's really all you can say. That's okay, you can say that, but why would you have to say things like, well, this is fucking crappy music, like go back to Justin Bieber? Like, why would you even say that, you know? Of course you can say that it's a funny comment, but when you really come to the conclusion of what happened, then people are beginning to regret what they say. And that's what I'm talking about, you know. It's always a fucking funny joke, but when it comes to the reality of it, and the fact that Chester like very probably read some of those comments, and it probably like hit him hard, you know. We are all just humans. Then you can see that it's not really constructive to do such things, you know. So yeah, we like really got so we think that hating on the internet is such a normal thing, but when you really think about it, you don't meet a person on the street who would be hating on you and calling you like fucking bad names, or nobody does that really. So if you think about it, it really doesn't exist. We all have, of course, negative opinions sometimes about such things, and it's totally okay, but we don't have to express them, like attack some person, because most of the time it's really like bullshit what we think, you know. It's not helpful, or it's not constructive in any way. It's just this garbage that we have in our minds, and it's for nothing. What really matters is when we can connect and communicate through our hearts. So, and that is what Chester did. So I would like to thank him and the entire band for what they really did. It was a marvelous art that they did with the band. I'm not gonna cry. I have to admit I cried a little when I heard the news. It really hit me. I was like, what the fuck? I didn't expect such a thing to happen like in a million years. They seemed like they were going on pretty well, so I was like, oh my god, this is crazy. It really made me sad, and because of all those things that I've mentioned. So yeah, in conclusion, I would like to thank Linkin Park for everything they did. I hope they will continue in the future in whatever way they choose. I'm sending them a lot of love, a lot of strength, and yeah, I think there is now this huge honest movement in music that is soon going to express. And I would also love to express this honesty with our band, with our next record, so wish us luck. And yeah, that's all. Bye!